this is the help video for creating chromosome maps. I have my iPad stacked up on top of boxes, kind of precariously here. So if the iPad suddenly falls, we might have to pause for a minute. But you can read through all of this. Basically, what you are doing is figuring out a picture to show how far apart different genes are on a chromosome. So in the example one, you have the genes A, B, C, and D. And then it gives you a table here for the distance between them. And you can follow through that example, but I'm going to jump to this first practice problem, and you're going to have to do 2 and 3 by yourself. So Drosophila, that word there, is fruit flies. So first of all, we can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different traits that we're looking at. So we have the letters B, S, W, and C. I think the easiest way to demonstrate this for you is to use graph paper. Of course, if you don't have any graph paper, you could just do it on plain paper too. It doesn't really matter. Here's my graph paper. So I know I have the genes B, S, W, and C. And I'm going to use this math to figure out how far apart they are. So first, the two that are farthest apart, which one's the biggest number? If the percent confuses you, just ignore it. Look for which one has the biggest number. That would be 11. So there's 11 units between C and S. So I'm going to start constructing my map. Here is C, and it is 11 units away from S. If you'd like to use the graph paper version and count out 11, you can, or you can just make a certain length and say that it equals 11. I'm gonna say this is about 11. So between C and S, I will use a purple highlighter for them. Between C and S, that is 11. With me so far? Okay. And now I'm going to either figure out one of the other two in relation to C or in relation to S. You figure out which one you want to go with. So I have here between B and C is about 5. And also between B and S is about 5. So what that tells me is B is probably somewhere in the middle because we have 11 here. So like what's half of 11? 5.5. So it tells me in the middle here is probably where B is, somewhere about in the middle of the two. And if you'd like to count it out specifically, you could. So this one was purple. Between B and C, which I'll make green, there is 5.5. And between B and S, there's 5.5. I'm coloring mine. You don't necessarily have to color yours. I'm just doing it to help you out here. All right, so we have where B, S, and C are, but what about W? Here we see W and C are about 3 apart. Okay. And we saw C and B were 5 apart. That means W is probably somewhere in between here. Let's keep going with it. W and B are 2.5 apart. Okay, that would tell me it's probably in here somewhere. W and S are about 8 apart. So S is way over here. If this much is 11, then how much would 8 be? 8 would probably be somewhere here. So we're saying the distance from S to make it 8 would probably be somewhere in here in the middle. If you want to specifically count it out again, you can. Maybe somewhere like in here. It's probably closer to B than it is to C, at least a little bit. W's about there. So what's the difference between W and B is 2.5. 2.5. top one. What is the distance between W and C? Here's C, there's W. I'm writing it down here so I don't confuse you. That's about 3. And what's the distance between W and S? Between W and S would be about 8. So it is kind of guesstimation. It's not very specific, but you're trying to figure out what is the distance between each of these letters. Which letter is closer to which other letter? So let's look back at what we did. C and S are the farthest apart because they have 11 units between them. So I started with a C and an S that were 11 apart. Then I figured out where B was. You could have figured out where W was first. I just went with B because I noticed that it's about 5.5, which is about half of 11. So if where the B is about halfway through 11, that tells me B is probably right in the middle of C and S. So it's 5.5 away from C, and it's 5.5 away from S. And then I had to figure out where W was. So W is closest to B, it's only 2.5 away. Then it's next closest to C, where it is 3 away. I wrote it down here, so it was out of the way. And W is farthest away from S, because it's 8. So that means this distance, right, I wrote down here, is 8. So you're going to go through each of them and try to figure out where each chromosome is, where each part of the chromosome is. If you'd like, you can actually draw a box around it, kind of like the example on the front. But if you just show me the letters and then their distances, that's fine. If you want to get colorful, that's fine. Hopefully this makes more sense. You gotta just kind of try it and it'll come to you. For the Squirtle example, your genes are P, Q, R, and S, and you're gonna figure out which order they're in and how far apart they are. And then down here, we have A, B, C, D, and F. And you figure out where they are, so it's kind of like the harder example. If you're still super confused, please either send me a message or talk to me on Thursday or Friday, and we can go through it again. Good luck.